Ladies and gentlemen, our program is now beginning. Please find your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Paul Basaldua, President and CEO with Versatera Development and the 2026 Chairman of the Board for the Metro SA Chamber.
All right. We might, Kaylin. Never mind. We'll be fine. All right, everyone. Thank you all for coming. If I can have everybody please be seated. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Metro SA Chamber's 2026 State of the County program. My name is Paul Basaldua, and I have the privilege of serving this year as the Chairman of the Board for the Metro Chamber. Thank you all for joining us for what is always one of our most important conversations of the year. We are proud to bring together business leaders, elected officials, and community stakeholders for meaningful discussions about the future of Bexar County and the San Antonio region. Today's program is an opportunity to not only reflect on where our community stands today, but also to better understand the priorities and partnerships needed to continue moving the region forward. At this time, please join me in welcoming Northeast Independent School District's Churchill High School JROTC Color Guard as they present our nation's colors for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. Please stand if you are able.
Mark time. Mark. Mark time. Mark. Color guard. Halt. Present. Arm.
Okay. All right. Well, will everybody join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. All right, the Texas Pledge. I, come on, go. I'm terrible. Do y'all know it? Anybody know it? Okay, we're gonna skip the Texas Pledge. All right. Yes, that'd be great. That'd be great. Wait.
Present. Arm.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order. Arm. Right. Face. Forward. Mark.
Thank you. Everybody can please be seated. So before we officially begin today's program, I'd like to recognize the elected officials and the community leaders joining us today. First, we have Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai, who we'll be hearing from momentarily. We also have members of the Bexar County Commissioners Court here with us. Precinct 1, Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores. Precinct 2, Commissioner Justin Rodriguez. Precinct 3, Commissioner Grant Moody. We also have the County Tax Assessor Collector Albu Uresti here. From the City of San Antonio, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones. District 1 Council Member Suk Kaur. District 3 Council Member Phyllis Villagran. District 5 Councilmember Terry Castillo. District 7 Councilmember Marina Alderete Gavito. District 8 Councilmember Ivalis Mesa Gonzalez. District 9 Councilmember Misty Spears. And District 10 Councilmember Mark White. Finally, from the City of Live Oak, Mayor Mary Dennis. Thank you all for your leadership, for your service to our community, and your continued partnership with the Metro SA Chamber and the general business community. I also want to extend a special thank you to today's sponsors who helps make programs like this possible. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Joris General Contractors. Gary Joris and his entire team at Joris have been longtime supporters of this program, and we sincerely appreciate your continued partnership and investment in our community. Our VIP sponsors, Gap Partners, Guido Construction, Austin Commercial, PCL Construction, Methodist Hospital Stone Oak, and University Health. Our premier sponsors are Alterman, HDR Engineering, McGriff Insurance, Onyx Political Affairs, Pape Dawson Engineers, San Antonio River Authority, Saws, Spallglass, and Zachary Corporation. And thank you to our print sponsor, Documation, along with all of our business sponsors listed on the screens and in your programs today. Your investment in Metro SA Chamber and in conversations like this help strengthen our business community. Today's program comes at an important time for Bexar County and the greater San Antonio region. Our community continues to grow. Conversations around infrastructure, workforce, economic development, public safety, transportation, housing, and long-term planning are more important than ever. That is why we are especially excited to hear from Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai and our outstanding panel of speakers this afternoon. The Metro SA Chamber is proud to serve as a convener for these important discussions and to bring together business, civic, and elected leaders focused on the future of our region. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our presenting sponsor and Metro SA Chamber's 2026 Chair-elect, Chris Corso with Joris General Contractors. Please help me welcome Chris.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Good to see you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And on behalf of Gary Joris and Joris General Contractors, I want to thank the Metro SA Chamber for allowing us to be the presenting sponsor for today's State of the County program. As many of you know, Joris has proudly called San Antonio home for nearly 60 years. And we understand firsthand the importance of leadership, strong leadership. We understand firsthand not only the importance of strong leadership, but regional collaboration, which we have in this room today, and most importantly, long-term community investment. And Gary, thank you for that. As many of you know, also, Bexar County, we understand firsthand the importance. We understand that with growth comes important conversations around infrastructure, workforce development, mobility, housing, economic development, competitiveness, and quality of life. Those conversations require partnerships like the Metro SA Chamber that can play critical roles in convening leaders and helping move our community forward. We are especially appreciative of Peter Sakai's willingness to engage the business community and share his vision for the future of Bexar County. Today's conversation is not only an opportunity to hear updates on the county's progress, but also to better understand the priorities, challenges, and opportunities that will shape our region in the years ahead. Before we begin today's program, I would also like to take a moment to recognize someone who has been an incredible source of support throughout Judge Sakai's years of public service, and that's his wife, Rachel Sakai. Rachel, thank you for your unwavering support of Judge Sakai, your kindness, your leadership in the community, and the grace with which you represent your family in Bexar County. Public service is never accomplished alone, and we know the sacrifices and commitment that families make behind the scenes to help leaders serve their communities well. So on behalf of George General Contractors and Metro SA Chamber, we would like to present you with these flowers as a small token of appreciation for your service. We're fortunate to have an outstanding panel joining us today. And Judge, you just sat down. We're going to ask you to stand back up again. So please help me in welcoming Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai, Bexar County Manager David Smith, Greater SATX President and CEO Sarah Karabias-Rush. Hello, Sarah. And last but not least, Bexar County Small Business and Entrepreneurship Department Director, who does an incredible job for Bexar County, Renee Watson.
Before we do that, we've got a special video recognition for Judge Sakai, so please just continue to enjoy your meals and view the screens on here.
Judge Sakai has been supportive in workforce efforts. I know he's been very supportive of the Texas Fast Track program, and just recently here has reinstated funding from Bexar County to support Project Quest. On our 30th anniversary in 2022, we commissioned a study, independent study, to look at the return on investment for Project Quest. And at that point, we are able to see a $27 return on investment for every dollar invested in Project Quest through the services we provide, measured along three ways: how much more individuals are making, how much more they're spending, and the savings to public benefit services for these individuals that have become independent.
The Commons at Acequia Trails, the Hudson Apartments are projects that Sam Ministries brought to the county and said, hey, these are ideas that we have about how to address this issue. And Judge Sakai and his team came in full stop. Ready to work, ready to collaborate with us. Commissioner Rodriguez has also been a tremendous partner in this work. 2 years ago, it was hard to even imagine that I would be standing here in this place today, that we have seen such tremendous progress towards the Commons at Acequia Trails. This is what public-private partnership looks like. This is what shared community vision looks like when it is realized. And this time next year, San Antonio and Bexar County will have 201 units of site-based permanent supportive housing, the largest model in our community and maybe one of the largest across the country that serves individuals experiencing chronic homelessness and who also have high acuity needs. With the onset of Judge Sakai's tenure as the county judge, we found that synergy that was needed to address homelessness on a larger scale. What does that mean? It means providing housing opportunities, it means providing shelter, it means thinking strategically about how to overcome a problem that is not just in our community, but in communities across the country.
When we talk about economic development and what has happened in the last 3 years, even prior to the recent venue, the county parks and the changes to the parks for families and economic development has been tremendous in East San Antonio, starting with Comanche Park and all of the facilities that are being upgraded and what's happening in our community parks and what's happening with the Salado Creek and the trailways and the flood control. Because without the infrastructure and the public safety aspects, the rest of the development doesn't come. So for the last 3 budget cycles, and I believe in this upcoming budget cycle, there will be community and town hall meetings that anyone can attend. And those were an idea and an initiative under the transparency part of what Judge Sakai had brought to Bexar County.
Public transportation equals jobs, and Judge Sakai knows that. It's why he's invested in VIA, the bus rapid lines, and going to be invested in transit-oriented development. It's what's going to connect the east side to the west side on a bus rapid transit line, giving people the opportunity to connect to employers, to their grocery stores, and to their doctors, along with many other things. It's going to bring life back to the corridor within our inner city from the east to the west side of town. Public transportation connects employees with employers. It really gives people opportunities right from the very community they're already in. It helps strengthen their community, and it gives employers what they need. It creates jobs for the parts of San Antonio that need those jobs.
Sometimes it's difficult for us to see those that are reading about it or those that are not involved.
Good afternoon. Oh, come on. I know the Spurs lost last night. I know the storms flooded it out, but I tell you what, the Spurs are going to take it in 7. All right, let's go. All right. Well, we're going to be fine. We are going to be fine. Well, thank you, Brett Finley and the Metro SA Chamber team and board leadership for the opportunity to join you today. To our fellow community leaders who launched today's State of the County session by sharing some insights in the video, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause and give yourself a round of applause for your commitment to our community, Bexar County. When I first entered office, I heard a familiar refrain, quote, well, that's just the county way. That's just the way we do it. Sometimes it was from a place of comfort, sometimes resistance, and sometimes merely habit. My response, I have been a public servant for decades in the courthouse as both a prosecutor and a judge. I know the county way. So I said, you know what? We must do it a different way. I knew that we needed a better Bexar, a stronger county government based on the pillars of transparency, accountability, excellent and basic services, and customer service. So we worked together to pave a new county way for the foundational systems that shape the quality of life of every citizen. I refer to this as the core functions, the nuts and bolts of county government. The people, the infrastructure, the justice system, our public safety and emergency management, and our social services. As the leaders in this room know, and I thank my colleagues, the county commissioners in the room who have supported me for my term of office, we know that the heart of any organization is its people. So that's where I begin this afternoon. From the small things, like an annual employee appreciation event, what we call our Bexar County Pachanga, which celebrated its 4th year this past April. Free downtown parking for our county employees, to the big things, like market studies to adjust compensation, improve retention, and recruitment. We have nearly 200 combined sheriff deputy and constable deputy positions to address burnout and improve public safety. We took a hard look at our criminal justice system, convening internal and external stakeholders through the Public Safety Committee with the City of San Antonio, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, San Antonio Police Department, Bexar County District Attorney's Office, and the Judiciary. Together, we improve coordination and we develop programs to protect our police officers, our deputies, first responders, and most of our residents from violent repeat offenders. The county also commissioned experts to study the gaps and opportunities to improve the system. These studies set frameworks for intentional action, and we follow through. Improving jail screening and health services through University Health. And I thank Ed Banos, Jamie Haslocker, and his team, his board, for their leadership. Give them a round of applause. We improve coordination because justice delayed is justice denied when we work in silos. We improved emergency management, preparedness, and infrastructure because resilience is essential, not optional. So again, we invested in our people. I give credit to our Bexar County Emergency Management Team, Chris Lopez, Michael Moreland, for leading our emergency management team. Give them a round of applause for especially last night's storm. We invested in planning, infrastructure, and systems to anticipate and mitigate disasters such as flooding. Thanks to David Smith, our county manager, for finding $20 million for the next-gen flood warning system. Where'd you find that money, Dave? Yeah, okay. We also want to thank Derek Bays and his team and his board at the San Antonio River Authority for their partnership with the next-gen flooding warning system. These great strides are crucial, but it is only part of the story. We focused on affordability and access in great areas such as broadband internet throughout the county, especially the rurals in Precinct 1 and 4, affordable housing, green spaces, the Arboretum, workforce training and education, reliable public transit, and social services. These are the building blocks that empower our citizens to live with dignity and pursue opportunity. Because if we do not invest in our people, we cannot attract new businesses or support our local corporate partners and high-paying jobs or expand the tax base. That is why we, Bexar County, led in tax exemptions for child care providers, homestead exemptions for the hospital system, food assistance programs through Meals on Wheels and the San Antonio Food Bank. That is why we invested ARPA, those federal funds, and opioid settlement dollars directly into community, supporting our county public health department, expanding treatment and jail diversion programs, and investing in youth mental health services by partnering with our school districts. That is why we invested in affordable housing and homelessness programs with SAM Ministries, Haven for Hope, and with the suburban cities. Growing the affordable housing stock and developing and preserving permanent supportive housing. The strength of a county is not just growth, but whether growth is inclusive and reaches those most in need. My goal as county judge is to leave the county and our government in a better place, creating a better Bexar. That is what we've accomplished together. With that being said, I look forward to our continued conversation today with our distinguished panel. So Brett
Thank
Finley.
you, Judge. Yeah, let's give it up for Judge Sakai. So as he gets reseated, we'll transition to the fireside panel portion of our conversation here today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brett Finley, President and CEO of the Metro SA Chamber. Thank you so much for joining us, your continued partnership, collaboration, and investment with the Chamber. As Chris Corso mentioned, we are joined by an esteemed panel here today, and I think I'll give a proper introduction to each of our esteemed panelists. First up, we have David Smith, Bexar County Manager. David has served Bexar County for nearly 3 decades and became the county's first ever county manager in 2011. He oversees the county's operations, budgeting, and strategic investments and strategic initiatives, during a time of tremendous regional growth. Let's give it up for David Smith. Seated next to David, we're also joined by Sarah Karabias-Rush, President and CEO of Greater SATX. Sarah leads regional economic development efforts across the 10-county San Antonio region and has helped drive significant job creation, investment, and business recruitment opportunities for our community. Please help me welcome Sarah Karabias-Rush. And seated next to me here is Renee Watson, Director of Bexar County's Small Business and Entrepreneurship Department. Renee works to expand opportunities for small, minority-owned, and women-owned businesses and is widely recognized for her leadership in supplier diversity and economic inclusion. Please help me welcome Renee Watson. And then finally, my co-moderator for today's conversation, we have Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai, who will also be serving in this capacity. Judge Sakai has been recognized for innovative programs focused on improving outcomes for children and families. Today, he leads Bexar County with a focus on collaboration, fiscal responsibility, and long-term community impact, much of which you just heard in that speech. Let's give Judge Sakai another warm welcome. And Judge, I'm going to pass over the first question to you, sir, and we'll get this panel conversation going.
Are we live yet? There we go. Hey, I get to play Brett Finley today. So, you're like, well, we want to No, we're going to have the people that really know how to get things done make the presentation here. So I get to ask the questions. Guys got it? And we try to get all the questions. So let's get to the point and let's get going. Well, good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for joining in to talk about the state of our county for the past 3.5 years. Each of you have a very special position in this community, and I would like you to share your perspective and outlook of Bexar County. So let's start with David. You're the man on the spot, county manager. When I took office, I promised to have the county more accountable and transparent. How has the county achieved this effort? You saw, I think, the budget town hall meetings was one way. What else did we do, Dave?
Oh boy, that was quite a bit, Judge. I mean, so I'll just list some of the things and we can talk about them more if you want, but at the very beginning, it started with a review of all the existing financial and operating policies of the county, and not to put any pressure on staff, he said, I want it in 6 months. We delivered, I think the day before 6 months was up, but we did deliver those reviews. The court reviewed them in open session of Commissioners Court, and so that had never been done, and I've been here 30 years. So that was one major initiative right out of the gate. You and your team focused on making Commissioners Court itself more accessible. So we had already begun broadcasting our meetings, but the court also, under your direction, began having sign language interpretation for people to watch during the meetings on television, as well as Spanish language translation available. And also, the judge asked us, and we did, put the background information for all items on the court agenda available to the public online, which that had never been done before. So from where I sit at least, Commissioners Court and the county governance process and structure have never been more transparent to the public.
Thank you, Dave.
David touches on transparency and communication. I think that's really critical as our community continues to grow and compete. And I think, speaking of competition, we have someone up on stage here who is constantly trying to make sure that San Antonio is as competitive as possible. Probably a proper time to bring in Sarah, Judge.
That's right. Sarah, over the past 3 years, Bexar County has taken a more active role in regional economic development. Can you give us a couple of examples of how the county has engaged in a more robust economic development strategy?
Absolutely. Well, really excited to be here with everyone today. And the partnership of Greater SATX with the county has never been stronger. The judge has really stepped in and led in significant ways. We, for example, partnered to take a look at the manufacturing ecosystem here within this region that truly connects from Austin all the way down to Monterrey, Mexico, and is positioning us to be able to, one, better understand the assets that we have here in this region, but also to ensure that we are able to compete at the highest possible level. And we have certainly seen that as we have had a few announcements together, Judge, and really appreciate our ability to advance those opportunities. I think that's probably the best place to start.
Well, I'm going to follow up, Sarah. Soon after I took office, we went on a business delegation trip to Japan. This trip was a success in bringing 2 new companies to Bexar County. Please help the community understand what we did from those business economic development trips.
Absolutely. I've been at this a long time, 20 years of doing international missions with elected leaders, and I can guarantee you that there is always criticism for elected leaders getting on an airplane and traveling outside of their jurisdiction. But when we travel, particularly with somebody like you, Judge, that has the cultural ties to the community that we were visiting, it really makes a difference. And the doors that we were able to open and the relationships that we were able to strengthen over the years and partnering, and in particular on that trip, have led to great results. You know, when we think about that particular mission in May of 2024, we were focused on strengthening the existing relationships and the companies that have already invested here. There are more than 120 Japanese companies in this region today that have ties, companies that have ties to Japanese parent companies in some capacities. So that is significant, right? The existing infrastructure and relationship is there and strong. On this trip, we were connecting with advanced manufacturing and life sciences firms. And in particular, we had a chance to open up and close two deals that had been in our pipeline for a while, and the judge's leadership helped us get both Senko and Yamaguchi operating here in San Antonio as American Katera across the finish line. And both of those organizations established their U.S. headquarters here in San Antonio as a result of that trip, in addition to their manufacturing operations as well. So, you know, when you think about that and then the existing relationship building that we do from there, you know, we were able to compete because we have such a strong workforce story to tell, because we have the industry alignment story to tell, and that we are truly showing up as a coordinated regional focus. You know, and we did that together. I think that intentional approach is what is leading to long-term results, that relationship building that leads to results and job creation.
And that economic growth that Sarah's talking about, it's so critical, right, to a thriving San Antonio, but also our local businesses, right, that are 90% of all businesses here in San Antonio, to make sure that we are equally as thriving and supporting of our local businesses to have an opportunity, let's say, in those efforts. Probably a good time to bring in Renee into the conversation, speaking of local businesses.
That's right. The one and only Renee Watson. Small businesses help drive our economy. As county judge, I focused on helping all businesses, large or small. How has Bexar County's business environment changed in the last 3.5 years?
Thank you, Judge, and thank you for including the Small Business Office in this presentation. Many of you in the room always are asking questions and competing on the contracts. But I believe, Judge, when you took office, all your calls were about the payment process at Bexar County, receiving hundreds of calls, hundreds of inquiries. But working with the court and under your leadership for transparency, the county auditor now places the check register on the website. And I don't know if everyone in this room knows that, because now as people are being paid, that check register to say if you're a company, especially if you're a small business and you're a subcontractor, subconsultant, or subsupplier, you know that that person that's your prime has been paid, have received their check. That transparency is critical in moving the dollars and how much you pay for the money for each one of our projects, especially on infrastructure and public works. The other thing is that we changed the procurement process, or the business process at Bexar County. Working with you and the purchasing board, Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Calvert, and the 3 district judges, because those are appointed officials. So sometimes the business community thinks that the court is in charge of those 2 appointed officials, the county auditor and the purchasing agent. Both of those have governing boards outside of Commissioner's Court. But your tremendous pressure on them, we have a new purchasing agent and a new process. We have updated the policies and procedures, how the county does business. We are looking forward to come back in front of the court in 2 weeks to add veterans into our policies and procedures for small and local business. So, and that's the suggestion of Commissioner Moody and all of the things that we're doing with our veteran, because this is Military City, USA. We provide training on the post at your direction at the Joint Base San Antonio, because the times have changed in the last 3 years. Many of your businesses can no longer go and talk to a contracting officer on the property on Joint Base San Antonio because of security reasons. Because of the center that the court has now, we're at 8200 Parent Vital. We are hosting that matchmaking in our office. And we thank you, Judge. You've been out there, you've seen it, and we have a podcast studio, and we're waiting for the rest of the commissioners to come on out. I'm looking at commissioners to come on out and be a part of our podcast as well.
So let me get back to David. What are some of the major investments made over the last several county budgets that you believe are having the biggest impact on our Bexar County citizens?
Thank you, Judge. I think the biggest one you already brought up, that's Commissioner's Court has added an unprecedented number of patrolmen and law enforcement personnel to our streets. About 150 new sheriff's deputies are now out on the streets patrolling and responding to your and my 911 phone calls, as well as 50, and this is really unprecedented, additional constable deputies. So all in all, about 200 new deputies are on the street to enhance public safety. I'm also proud of what the court and county has done with our specialized mental health response team that the court funds, called the SMART team, working with our partners at STRAC and CHCS and our emergency and the sheriff's office. We're able to provide an alternative to a law enforcement type of response to a 911 call that's really a mental health issue. And I think that saves lives and hopefully helps us have a much safer and better community. But then there's also kind of tradition. When you say investment, a lot of people think of capital projects, and you've done some major ones. The one that I think will resonate for generations will be, or one of the ones will be the VIA Silver Line funding that the court provided at your direction. I think most people in this room will be familiar with the Green Line that more or less runs north-south. The Silver Line is the equivalent, but it'll run from the heart of the west side all the way out to the Frost Bank Center on the east side, and will provide bus rapid transit. And I just want to hammer home on what someone else said earlier. Transportation and access to transportation is economic mobility and opportunity. I think VIA itself did a study a few years ago that showed that at that time, if someone had to rely completely on public transportation in this community to get to their job place, they would be effectively frozen out of about 90% of the job openings. I think the Silver Line and the Green Line changed that. And that's life-changing sort of investments in parts of our community that need it. And the final one has been mentioned already, but this is life safety, and that's the next-gen flood warning system. This town and community will be equipped with state-of-the-art flood warning systems that are rivaled by none in the country. Meaning, what does that mean? That means you can choose to sign up for electronic alerts from low water crossings of your choice, and it will tell you, say in the morning or this morning when we had just had some rain, it will tell you before you even leave what the status of that low water crossing is. But with this additional 21 million, what it will also do is when you arrive or someone else arrives to that low water crossing, just like they do at a railroad crossing, they'll be greeted with barricade arms. And so what has happened so often in the past is people who have chosen for whatever reason to drive through floodwaters, and that doesn't always end well. Well, this new investment will essentially do what Union Pacific does and take the decision out of the motorist hands. So to me, those are some important investments.
So let's do a deeper dive, David, on the issues coming up in the near future, which is the budget. We're facing new financial pressures, including projected budget deficits and the expiration of ARPA funding, the federal funds. Can you share some light on the current budget outlook? I think everybody wants to listen to this one.
So it will be, in my experience, the most fiscally challenging budget process we've had since the housing crash of 2008. The county, as a governmental entity, is by statute largely dependent on property tax revenue for our operations. About 75 cents out of every operating dollar we have comes from property tax revenues. And although new construction has continued to hit the books, that's been largely offset by new exemptions approved by the legislature in the last legislative session. So that's a net wash at best. And we believe that if protest and appeals hold at anything like their historic levels, we'll be facing about a 2% deficit in terms of our annual operating revenue. And unlike other governmental entities that may have other revenue sources to supplement those operations, we don't. And state law basically makes us dependent on property taxes. So we're walking in facing that. Then you also had mentioned what's been popularized or called the ARPA cliff. It's basically the expiration of federal funding that came in during COVID to provide for a more resilient community response to that emergency. And the expiration date on that money hits. So as of this coming budget that the court will be dealing with, they will have to address those hard decisions of, do we find other operating revenue to supplement the continued operation of these programs? And that's in an environment where we don't have revenue growth to do it? Or do we cut the programs? And the court has been very transparent from day one. These are grant funds and they expire. So everyone needs to be making their plans, and those will be some of the challenges we face.
Let's shift gears a little bit here, and speaking of certainly with some budgetary challenges on the county side with some constrained resources, certainly brings into importance public-private partnerships and why maintaining those and increasing those in frequency is going to be so vital moving forward. Judge and Sarah, probably the question over to you about public-private partnerships.
Well, Sarah, when I took office, I wanted public-private partnerships. The counties have our new Missions baseball stadium is one example. Can you give us your thoughts on how local governmental entities can work with the private sector to create positive economic activity and good paying jobs?
Absolutely. And some of this I probably should have touched on in the first question, Judge, but I think, when you think about strategic direction and being able to compete as a region and as a community, the two things that are going to drive corporate investment in our region are a place where people want to be and the people to serve in those jobs. At the end of the day, so when we think about how we direct the limited funds of organizations like the county, right? Thinking about those two things as the way that we're going to be able to drive economic opportunity, I think is really crucial. When I think about some of the partnerships that Bexar County has helped us to lead in economic development over the last couple of years, I think about some of the wins that we've had together. While not a traditional public-private partnership, there's certainly a partnership involved, and partnerships are what win deals in economic development. So JCB, 1,500 jobs, $500 million in CapEx. Toyota's rear axle facility, 400 jobs, $500 million in capital investment. You're really leading the way on some active projects that are underway, including at Joint Base San Antonio. We talk about it as the South Beach project, a crucial project that is going to push forward more than 800 jobs into our community, $50 million in investments. If HEB and IEM and Toyota's investments that have recently come up as being considered in this region and competing today for incentives, if the elected leadership at the county, at the city, and at the state level continue to push these projects forward, then I suspect we're going to be looking at thousands of jobs that come out of those partnerships. So the point is there is a lot of opportunity and a lot of potential at hand. We're looking at a pipeline of 38,000 jobs, almost $32 billion in investment, and 57 projects in our pipeline today. We're able to compete because we're talking to companies around the world, and they are seeing a community that is serious about partnership. And they see a community that is willing to show up at the table with them and take risks as they're putting money into the ground. And so again, it comes back to how do we compete to win? We compete to win with a strong community, a strong place, a strong story to tell, and the people to fill the jobs. And so I think, when you think about the work that you're doing, whether that's with the missions or the Spurs or other investments that are going to drive the kind of place where our I hope my son wants to come back here someday, right? When he goes off to college and comes back, I hope he chooses San Antonio. I think that partnership mentality, that long-term vision, that willingness to come together and find a solution to these challenges and help find partnerships to drive that corporate investment and that private sector investment is the winning way forward.
Let me get to Renee. Renee, you mentioned the venue tax and the East Side development in the video. With voters approving venue tax propositions A and B, there's been a lot of discussion about the future of the East Side and the Coliseum area. From your perspective, since you live there, what opportunities could these investments create for local businesses and the surrounding community?
Thank you, Judge. And I not only live there, born and raised there, still live there. Came back to Bexar County 26 years ago when we built the SBC Center. So my legacy is not just what we do today, but going all the way back with the tax incentives, the venue projects, and probably everyone in this room is probably want the answer to this $1 million question, right? How do you get involved? How are you going to make a difference? And how do you get a part of either one of those projects? Because Prop A, of course, is the Coliseum, the grounds, the rodeo, and potential East Side economic development. Prop B, we see the mayor, that's a different conversation, not mine, right? So we have on the Coliseum area, the potential for redevelopment. And the East Side Council that you appointed, made up of citizens from throughout Bexar County, who was given advice, I'm now supporting that council, of the citizens to bring their ideas. Commissioner Calvert had several town halls. There's an 800-page document for that. The Coliseum Advisory Board is providing the leadership for that. But one of the things that we're really looking at is how do we incentivize or develop local businesses? The Spurs, when we meet because we still monitor how they spend their money at the Frostbank Center. County Judge Cryer and Commissioner Elizondo and the original court back in 2000 had agreements. Peter Holt had a fair share agreement with what we did with that property. For the last 25 years, every quarter we look at how do they make their expenditures. So as they started looking forward to the locals, so many of you probably saw on social media or in the media, the Spurs and Bobby Pettis, they put out a notice for local companies to register with them to do business on this project remaining and future projects. They had over 600 companies respond and sign up within 3 days. So there's a lot of activity for local business. We have asked them to not only look at subcontracting or prime contracting, and I know several primes here are bidding on part of the work at the Coliseum, as well as with the rodeo, as well as with the new arena. But that local aspect, we want to look at joint ventures. We want to take the community to the next level, because the supply chain is really what attracts those companies. We were involved at the table when Toyota came to San Antonio. We weren't in the manufacturing industry in San Antonio when Toyota decided to come. I had numerous meetings with their team that put those, and they orchestrated the joint ventures, and they built the supplier park. Now that supplier park has capacity to support other large corporations. That's why you can expand the line. JCB is the same way with the automotive and the farm and ranch equipment, the industrial equipment. We're looking for more local businesses who want to get in that supply chain. No matter what you sell, how do you participate either through a joint venture to help us grow the business? We track how many DBAs are filed in our county every year, every month. It's between 900 to 1,000 doing business as. So we know that development activity, who's registering their business. We can tell you if they're re-registering from another county, from another state, or we also get the LLCs that's filed. So we know at the bottom level where the activity is. During COVID, we saw it go down, but we saw it spike because of the different grants you had to have your formation. So we appreciate what you have done to bring the transparency, but as we go forward in these projects, especially on the East Side project, it's kind of landlocked around the Coliseum. We have environmental issues we have to mitigate because it's a lot of concrete on the Coliseum. The golf course has a lot of trees, so there's a big debate on can we get the golf course. But you know, other parts of town have had swaps for environmental issues. That is a heat island on the East Side. We like to see, and you told me I could say it.
You can.
We like to see
You'll say it anyway.
We like to see the city move the police station. A lot of the neighborhood folks around that police station, substation on the East Side has been there for 30 years. We need to support them and grow their facility. Our neighborhood association used to meet in their community room, but that room now is office space for our San Antonio police officers. If we can get that property, we can work with the Redberry Mansion. The Redberry Estates has the Salado Creek. There's a beautiful lake and a dam that's being repaired right now from the city of San Antonio. There's a lot of energy that's in East San Antonio that has been overlooked for many, many years. So that is my 2 cents on behalf of the citizens. But if you're a local business and you want to get into that process, we'd love to have a conversation. We now have a small business opportunity center on the property of ACOG, 8200 Parambital. It's almost 1,000 square feet. We also have a podcast room.
So let me follow up, Renee.
Really
That's the reason I love this lady. She just does it like it is. As Bexar County continues growing, what is one lesson, I think you've touched it, from the past, we should keep in mind to ensure growth benefits for the entire community? Kind of just hit, if you can hit the nail on the head, Renee.
Well, as we say at the county, we serve everyone. And we want to make sure that everyone on each side of town feel like they're part of the county, because we are all in this together as the better Bear. And as we grow and as we look at what happens on one side of town is good for the other side. And sometimes the conversation gets siloed from east side to west side to north side to south side. But we're all benefiting. And the projects from the venue will benefit everyone, not just the east side. And we appreciate your bringing to the level the name East Side, but it's for everyone. Just like everyone can come to the rodeo and watch the pigs run and all the other stuff, and you don't know you're on the East Side, you're just coming to the rodeo. So I think that's the lessons learned in what we do. We're all in this together.
Judge, as comfy as this furniture is, we may want to borrow it for the Spurs game tomorrow night. But I'll be respectful of everyone's time here, and I'll pass it over to you for some quick closing comments.
Can we get the podium back up? Because there's my mic. Can we give a round of applause for this outstanding panel presentation? I hope you all enjoyed it. I did. You know, I said it earlier, you know, I mean, I've been most fortunate. I have been blessed by our God here, given the opportunity to be a county judge and to continue my public service. But as any business owner knows, you know, you're only as good as your employees or the team you employ. And the Spurs obviously are the best example of what teamwork and now pounding the rock, so to speak. And like I said, they're going to be okay. They're going to take it to 7. So can we give another round of applause for this outstanding panel presentation? So let me, you know, and I know Mayor in the city of San Antonio is in the room with council and perhaps staff, but I'm just kind of a home team kind of guy. I want everybody who works for Bexar County, whether you're elected, appointed, or you're an employee, or you're just paid by the county, please stand and be recognized and give this team a round of applause. So David, Renee, commissioners, county, and if you're on the hospital board, yeah, you're part of us. This is what makes Bexar County so great. And of course, my team, the county judge staff. I want Matthew Polanco, Letty Garcia, Nora Barshop, Valerie Lopez. Y'all please stand. Y'all have made me look good. And I wanted to say thank you for your many years of service. Where are you? Oh, there you are. There you are at. Okay. I appreciate everyone joining us today, and I appreciate our panelists, the community leaders on the video, and the Metro Chamber leadership and today's sponsors. I want to have a special shout out to the people that made the video. I really hadn't seen the final cut. It's content on call. Matthew Egan, Laurel Hampton, where are you at? Please stand and be recognized. And hey, they're available for service. Where are you at, Matthew? There you are. What I love about this team is they often work with nonprofits. So nonprofits in the room, there you go. The work ahead requires all of us working together to ensure Bexar County remains a place of opportunity, innovation, economic strength for the future. It has been an honor to serve this community and making this county a better Bexar. I will continue to be engaged, leading the work until the end of my term at midnight on December 31st. I'm working hard every day. I'm working harder than I ever did when I first started, but I will continue to work to make sure we finish our projects, we get things done, and then I'll be able to move on and look for my new path. I will continue to be engaged after December 31st, working collaboratively to build a better Bexar, as I've done my entire career. One of my guiding principles is a famous Japanese saying. Rachel helped put this thing together. It was a Japanese phrase, and I had to practice it. I said, I don't want to embarrass myself, but I'm giving you the English translation. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Let me repeat. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. It symbolizes resilience, perseverance, and the refusal to accept defeat, no matter how many setbacks one may face. It emphasizes that failure is not the opposite of success, but an inevitable part of the journey towards success. I wish you well. God bless and Godspeed. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I hope that y'all got something out of it. I did too.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program for this afternoon. Thank you guys. Thank you all to our panelists again. Thank you to Judge Sakai for your years of leadership. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you so much.
this in your pocket if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll just, can you open up your jacket just for a second so I can?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm just putting right here. Okay.
All right. How are you?
I'm good, and congratulations. Wait a second. I will be putting this
Wherever you want. There you go.
That is good.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start, right, guys? And then I got the panelists if you have any questions. All right.
Everybody rolling?
Everybody rolling? Okay.
All right.
Hey, Garrett.
Hey, Judge. All right. You've got one last budget to do. Going to be a tricky one.
Mhm.
How do you anticipate trying to close that future deficit this year? How are you going to pull back spending? What's going to be on the chopping block?
Those are going to be ongoing discussions, and obviously we will have to have a majority of the support of the county to decide which programs are going to keep going, which some programs may not keep going, and then we'll have to consider the revenue and what the tax protests will yield. You heard David Smith said that we're expecting a deficit in revenue, but hopefully with the new investments that are coming in and the building of infrastructure and the corporate expansions that are going on, I think we'll be okay.
Okay, but you're saying which programs may go away, so you are anticipating cuts already, not just...
We have to. That's good government. We have to balance our budgets, and so we will ask that all these positions that especially those got created by the federal funding, ARPA money, will have to come back and we'll have to see what the return of investment is on those particular positions and those allocations.
One of the programs on the city side, Sam Ministries, Nikisha Baker was in that video. They have a low barrier shelter, which is having some funding problems. She's mentioned that the city funding's going away. She's hoping maybe the county might set up. Is there any room for something like that when you're already talking about cuts?
We're going to have to just balance the budget. We're going to consider everything. Just remember that the homelessness issue, the issue with the unhoused, is a top priority. And so we're going to try to make sure that the least of us in our community are protected. So we will consider those budget requests as they come in.
Okay. With the, are there specific cuts that you think are immediately top of mind?
No, we just have to remember we can't compromise public safety. We can't compromise on just basic needs. Food security, housing issues, workforce development, economic development, all those issues have to take top priority, and we'll look at and scrub the budget.
Judge, when you're looking at your last 7 months, do you have kind of one big priority that you want to accomplish, kind of a legacy project per se?
No, I want to make sure that Bexar County is on solid foundation. That's the reason why we will focus in on those core issues: public safety, public health, workforce development, and economic development. Those are the core functions, as you heard in today's luncheon, that is going to make the county thrive even in the toughest of times.
Judge, this is your last state of the county. These last few years, what are the 2 programs you're most proud of as you're leaving?
I'm proud of everything that has been done, because what we need to understand as elected officials, we need to bring things together. And I believe that the county has brought this community together and has come forward so that we are focused in on those key issues. You heard we've made a total commitment to public safety. We have supported public health, especially mental health. Those are really fundamental projects that, we don't put a name to it, so to speak, and I didn't run to put my name to anything. I ran as county judge to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. And that's what I've been able to accomplish, and that's all I need, is to make sure that I've left Bexar County in a better place.
You mentioned ARPA programs that might be coming to a close. David mentioned that as well. What are some examples of that?
Well, we have positions that are funded through law enforcement. We have some positions that are funded through the judiciary. We have public health that is totally funded through ARPA funding. And so those particular programs, we're going to need to know, are they an integral part in a return of investment? If it is, we have to find a way to keep those positions open. If perhaps we can redirect those positions to other issues such as the unhoused and homeless situation, Yes, we have to make sure that our citizens are being fed, being housed, and are protected. And I think if you look at the fundamentals that we have put out today in today's luncheon, you'll see that Bexar County is totally focused on those core functions of county government.
One of your biggest projects has been the East Side revitalization, the rodeo plan. What do immediate next steps look like on that before you leave office?
Those are all discussions that are being had right now. And so
What are those discussions?
they're ongoing. We're having them right now.
Does that include any sort of community benefits agreement?
Yes, those are all to be discussed. And Renee or David, why don't you come in here?
But Judge, just real quick.
I just want to we can have those questions answered too.
As you leave, what do you hope people of Bexar County will remember you by?
That I was a public servant who served and put the people first. And I have put children and families first my entire public service, and I'm especially proud as county judge that I've made a difference for Bexar County and the citizens that live here, and for the future, especially my grandchildren and all grandchildren of this community.
Judge Sakai, real quick, as David mentioned, the county knew that these COVID-19 relief funds were going to end, right? And then the county should have also known that the legislator changed the rules about homesteading, which will cut into your budget. Should the county or yourself have been better prepared to tackle this deficit? Should there have been better planning involved?
So, in terms of the exemption, we have no idea how many businesses that would impact. It was an expansion of a small business exemption. It had never been levied before, so we really had no idea. We're not the only ones scrambling. I think you look at most property tax levying governmental entities in this community, they're all giving you the same message. It was like, we didn't see this magnitude of effect coming. We got out early because we were instructed to be looking ahead for this next budget. So I think at the county, we were in front of commissioners in April, and then you started seeing other entities following suit. So we're reacting to it earlier than most, and I can tell you it's not my intention to propose a budget that has a property tax rate increase. Hasn't happened in 30 years. I don't want to be the first to do it. So we will be on the forefront of dealing with that issue as well.
And then David, you had mentioned the 2% deficit, but I think in the presentation a few weeks ago wasn't showing a deficit or a gap until I think 3 years out, the 29 fiscal year. So can you explain what you mean by that in the deficit? Is that just because you're tapping into the reserves, or just a technical question?
So it's a 2% drop in the level of property tax revenue. And since so much of our operating budget is funded by property taxes, that's a real cut potentially into operations. Commissioners Court over the past few years has done a very good job of building up their operating reserve. It's a very healthy reserve, so we'll be able to weather some impact. My problem I have at the moment is I'm not sure when this ends. I'm not sure when it ameliorates, because the exemption's here to stay. Like I think I said up there, our new construction is about normal. And with mortgage interest rates now exceeding 6.5% for a 30-year mortgage, that's going to have a dampening impact on new construction revenues. So it looks like we're entering in, at least for the short term, to a new normal, and that will take some adjustment. The cost of everything goes up, including cost of employees, the cost of materials, cost of gas, electricity operations. We've got to deal with those cost increases while maintaining a level of service, and that's going to take some hard choices.
Let me bring Renee. Renee, come on in here. Saul, you had a question about with the east side and the developments.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Cody Davenport, the rodeo CEO, has called the kind of outside development plan and the rodeo plan incompatible. How do you all respond to that, and do you worry about kind of conflating interest there between developers and the rodeo?
I think it's going to be some good negotiations, some things to work out. Because what's on the grounds versus what's on the near property, those conversations, the rodeo owns a lot of that land already. And they have a lot of those parcels already, that like they do in the 4-H club and the youth rodeo system across the street. So we're looking forward to having those conversations.
That's right. And what do you hope for the future of the east side?
To have more rooftops, that we can have the different changes and the different incomes, because we know rooftops drive retail, and retail with leisure dollars, even in this economy right now, you're seeing a deficit in those leisure dollars. So a lot of small businesses are struggling, a lot of retail. We're working with over 100 businesses right now that were kind of misplaced when the Painted Tree just closed, right mid-April. There was a lot of different businesses that are being impacted. We'd like to see some of them on the east side and what's happening between the corridor, the main corridors for the AT&T Center, Frost Bank Center, as we know, and SBC Center. Depending on when you got there and how long you lived there, what the institution was called, the grounds. So we'd like to see more development.
Are you worried about when the Spurs leave to go downtown?
Not really, because the Spurs will still be in town. So there's conversations between venues. So there's a venue called the Convention Center, there's a venue called the Coliseum, there's a venue known as the Frost Bank Center. So the venues conversation is for the big items and the big ticket items that we could probably even go after more in those communities, like the World Cup. The Spurs will still leave us with the soccer team. What's happening with that? What's happening with the Judge Sakai had put together the diamond, not just a triangle, when we look south down to the border? What's happening with that whole transportation route and the visitors and the visitors and the visitors coming in? So it gives us more of an opportunity, not less.
Speaking of the soccer team, the mayor has made a point of asking about getting some of the money that was supposed to be penalties for not obtaining an MLS franchise. The county under previous Judge Wolf had passed on that, but it didn't sound like it was ever really put through. What do you think about that, of trying to pursue that penalty payment?
I believe, well, for one, I'll yield to David Smith because this happened before I took to be the county judge, but it's my understanding that the court had taken official action during the period of COVID to waive those particular damages. So, and also for the record, I believe that money is owed to the local government entity.
PFC, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so if there's any issues, it'll be a joint city county Spurs discussion about whatever monies are still owed.
And so what's the county's opinion on that joint discussion? Are you guys, we waived it, today it's not going to happen?
Well,
Is that put a nix on the whole thing, or?
At this point, I do not want to get lawyers involved, and so, yeah, we'll have to yield to legal opinions as to what effect, if any, those prior court actions have made. David?
The court previously decided it was in the best interest of the community not to try and impose that penalty at that time. We'll have to talk to the city about what they think about that. You've obviously heard what the mayor thinks. But the judge is right. At the end of the day, this is a public finance corporation that the funds are owed to, and that's a joint governance arrangement, including the Spurs.
So, I mean, was the county able to really waive that if, they're just one part of that one
part
party?
that goes to the county.
Yeah, that's my understanding, and that's the legal opinion that's been given at this date.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Come get your stuff.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Judge, for your time.
No, thank you. All right. I don't want to walk away with a hot mic.